Welcome to the Lucky 13 podcast, where we talk about all things people and profit. I'm one of your hosts, Mike Lantz.
I'm the other one, Josh Hauser, and I'm wound up again, so let's go.
That's good. You got a new, I think we both got haircuts.
I got a haircut, dropped the beard.
That's right. That's
I
why
did.
you look
The beard's
different.
gone. I look young now, don't I?
You do.
Yeah.
You do.
No, I look like Rumpelstiltskin there for a while.
Yeah.
And it's Wear It Wednesday.
Who are you wearing
So
today?
today I'll turn on the back. It's Fenta. It's Florida ear, nose, throat, and allergy out of Tampa area. Absolutely wonderful company. Been with them for about 3 years now. Growing, and I got to be with them yesterday. So I landed at midnight to come in and see you today.
Awesome.
But love my Wear It Wednesday. If you got snot and you're in Florida, go find these guys.
Oh, that's
How about that? It's
fun.
I don't think that's their commercial they're looking for.
Guess what I did last week?
What'd you do last week?
Well, here's the trivia question I have, and not to be offensive to any Harvard graduates, but I was kind of wondering how many days you actually have to attend Harvard classes to where you could feel good about going in and buying a Harvard alumni T-shirt.
So you attended Harvard classes?
I went to a conference.
You color gooder.
I went to a conference. First off, it was beautiful weather out there. I mean, Cambridge is just such a beautiful town. And so I went to the Flourishing at Work conference that's put on by the Division of Human Flourishing at Harvard University.
Did you wear an ascot?
I did not.
Okay, keep
I
going.
did not. And by the way, what I found, I jokingly, I mean, I have so much respect for Harvard graduates and the students at Harvard. I'm like walking through and I'm like, by me walking on campus, I just lowered the collective IQ of the campus for 3 days.
There's a good chance, yeah.
But it was a great thing. And on the heels of us kind of talking at our last podcast, and we're going to get to a little bit of this today, on the heels of us talking about the engagement of the Q12 engagement survey, basically Harvard and a few other organizations, including Gallup, were given a research grant to basically survey the same 200,000 people worldwide every year for 5 years in the area of human flourishing. And flourishing isn't all about work, but work is a segment of human flourishing.
Love it.
And so it was just really fascinating, but it just further reinforced, how companies have to behave with their employees and how they can have such an amazing impact on an employee's life. But we'll get to that in a little bit.
Love it. Did you get an alumni shirt?
I did not. I didn't buy any swag. I just didn't feel worthy of it.
Really?
So I would never have bought an alumni shirt, because why would I do that? Because
You were there. You spent a couple days.
Yeah, but
you were in a classroom.
It was just it was just an awesome week. Met some really great people and that sort of thing. So that was fun. So we are recording this on the 7th of May.
7th of May.
May is a big time in Indiana right now.
Well, first of all, May always is Racer Month.
But
there's some other things going on in our city right now, which is
the Pacers.
The Pacer Month. Come on.
Last night they pulled one out. They were down 19 at one point, and they were able to pull out a 1-point victory against
and up 2-0.
I know, on the road.
Come on.
So I don't know. It was exciting. It takes me back to, I was in my 20s, I think, 20s, early 30s, and we're still at Market Square Arena, right? And it'd be during the month of May, and they'd have the race stuff going on. And this is when it was truly a full month of May, when they had practice and qualifications for several weeks and stuff. And I remember going to these Pacer games after at the track, and they would pipe in racing noise.
Yeah.
And that stadium would get just
everybody
rocking.
get wound up. Absolutely.
Yeah, Days of Reggie and all those guys.
Well, that's good stuff, dude. It's good stuff.
Yeah.
I'm pretty stoked to be in this. Indiana's a good place to be this time of year.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah, for sure. All right, let's dive in. We spoke the last couple of episodes. We talked about this Gallup Q12 research that came out. Just to kind of summarize for some people, Gallup every year measures employee engagement. They survey millions of people worldwide. They've just recently released their 2024 findings, and basically engagement dropped by 2%, or 2 points, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it's a lot.
It's a lot.
Right?
That's a lot of people.
So it basically went, in the United States, it went from 33% down to 31%. The United States is about 10 points higher than the
rest
world.
of the world.
But most of our listeners are in the United States, so we've kind of really talked about that.
Yeah, we only got 3 out right now.
Yeah.
I just made that stat up.
Yeah.
50% of all stats are made up 70% of the time. Go ahead.
Yes, something like that. So, and what we found out, or what they reported, was the biggest part of the drop was due to mid-level managers.
Yeah, that middle squeeze of our 35 and unders and our especially our female. Yeah, 7%. Yeah. That hit me in the face. I ended up calling my daughter that night.
Yeah.
Hit me right in the face.
Yeah. So what we wanted to talk about a little bit today is we're gonna review real quick the 12 Gallup questions, okay, just so we can have that cemented in everybody's mind. Then I also did some additional research that to really identify what are the top 10 reasons why people are leaving their companies.
Yeah, let's find it.
And it totally aligns with the Q12s. And then I think we ought to talk a little bit about, whether this takes 1 or 2 episodes, a little bit about why or what we can do to prevent these things. Right?
It's one thing to know it. It's another thing to have a plan to do something.
Yeah, 100%. Right. I want to start a little timer here,
Yep.
so we better, so we don't, because, we get to talking about this stuff.
Never made the connection.
Okay. All right, so Q12. These are the 12 questions, just to review for everybody. Number 1, and again, these are administered to millions of people worldwide, and they respond on a 5-point Likert scale, which at the low end is strongly disagree, and at the high end is strongly agree, right?
Agree, disagree, and then
exactly.
neutral.
Right. And so, and what we found out is only 31% of the U.S. workforce is engaged in their job. It costs the U.S. economy something like $2 trillion in lost productivity. It's insane. Gracious. So question number 1, I know what is expected of me at work. Number 2, I have the materials and equipment I need to do my work right. Number 3, at work, I have the opportunity to do what I do best every day. Number 4, in the last 7 days, I have received recognition or praise for doing good work. Number 5, my supervisor or someone at work seems to care about me as a person. Number 6, there is someone at work who encourages my development. Number 7, at work, my opinions seem to count. Number 8, the mission or purpose of my company makes me feel my job is important. Number 9, my associates or fellow employees are committed to doing quality work. Number 10, I have a best friend at work. Number 11, in the last 6 months, someone at work has talked to me about my progress. And number 12, this last year, I have had opportunities at work to learn and grow. So those are the 12.
Come on, those are 12. I mean, pretty much all inside fastballs.
Inside fastballs, the bar is really low. Yep. And so it blows my mind that 69% of the U.S. workforce is either disengaged or actively disengaged when it's measured by these things. Right?
Actively disengaged, by the way, so we can get on the same page. They're literally walking in with a spoon and stirring the pot as much as they possibly can.
They act out their dissatisfaction on a daily basis, and they're trying to go to the engaged and the disengaged and saying, hey, join me.
Water cooler Wally sitting over there to talk about why you should leave with him.
As I've been having this conversation with people over the last couple of weeks on this data, some of the comments I've heard is, well, I don't want the disengaged people in my company anyway, so let them leave. Yeah, but here's the thing. They weren't disengaged probably when they showed up.
No.
I mean, some were.
Something caused it.
Something caused it. And so what I want to dive into next, and then we'll talk through each one of these, is I did a little research, and most of this came out of MIT, the Gallup organization.
Oh, listen to this. He goes to Harvard, now we're quoting MIT, Penn. I got Thurston Howell III on the broadcast with me now.
Not really.
Get my bags.
But these are going to make sense, right? They're like no duh, no shit, right?
Thank you. Okay. But thank you for taking that a little bit. But you were like getting smarter in front of me.
I'm not.
I'm in a t-shirt. You're in a quarter zip. Come on, let's go.
Well, you look better. You got better guns than
yeah.
Okay.
Remember the shirt I got? Kind of fit, sort of fat. All right, keep us going.
At least you're not wearing your schmedium today.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go through these 10 and just kind of have a little bit of conversation because I know that you and I have both seen this inside of our companies. And I think, and then once we go through these, then we'll kind of flip to what are 3 or 4 things that people can do immediately right now after listening to this podcast to increase their engagement.
So for those driving, remember, you might want to pause, pull over. You're going to want to write some of these things down. So let's go.
Yeah. These will also be in the notes of the show too. So number 1, and we hear this all the time, poor management or leadership.
People they don't run from companies, they run from people. Yeah. And most of the time it's their leadership and management.
Yeah. And the thing that was really highlighted in the research that I did on this was lack of trust.
Mm-hmm.
So
5 dysfunctions.
It's absolutely, I do not, they're basically saying when they're leaving and they're citing management or leadership, it's, I don't trust them.
I even heard it heavier in a meeting I had last week was, I don't trust my family's livelihood based off this person's relationship with me. That hurt when they say that. Just think about that. My family's livelihood is based off my trust in what you're doing and how we're doing it together, and I'm not going to put my family on the line with that. You got to really take that seriously as a leader and a manager, that it's not just about the relationship with them, it's bigger than that.
Yeah, and it goes beyond. It's putting food on the table,
Amen.
It's paying the mortgage, it's sending kids to school.
Absolutely.
It's clothing them, it's all of those things.
My bigger future is based off how much I trust you. Would you plan your whole family's future on somebody that you don't trust is going to make the right decision tomorrow?
That's a face mask comment. Like, I mean, like if you're listening to this, it's like, am I showing up every day, earning the trust of my people? Should all of my people follow me into this business And are they willing to bet their entire livelihood on it?
That's what you're asking for. You're not paying them a paycheck.
Yeah. Number 2, and this is interesting, lack of meaningful work. And I heard this one over and over and over again at Harvard last week. Whether you're a trash man or you are, a NASA astronaut, do you find meaning to your work? And I think the biggest reason why people don't is because leaders don't make the connection points to what someone's doing every single day, to how that really matters to the business, to the clients, to whatever.
Yeah, I don't want to shortchange greater good of the company, but there are a set of skills. I'm not trying to sound like Liam Neeson, but there's a set of skills, there's a set of challenges. And what happens, I see this, what you just described. I have a set of skills and you're not giving me challenges to grow those skills. And so those people become bored, stagnant, complacent, and they don't want to be around. Does that resonate to you? Yeah. We want to get, if you can think of an L chart, we want to get that skills and challenges to constantly be meeting each other and growing on this corridor of growth. And once you get outside that and live outside that, you're no longer you're either working on complete stress or complete no purpose.
Yeah. And so when you think about, I remember a story, and I'm just coming up with this. I didn't prepare the story, so I'm going to miss a few of the dates and stuff. But back when JFK became president, he said, we're going to put a man on the moon within 10 years, I think, or something like that. Within a decade.
Now that you're from Harvard, you could probably speak that. Go
ahead. Right. And so, and I remember there's a story, whether it's true or not, it could be old just lore, but he's walking through NASA. He goes into the restroom, there's a guy cleaning the bathroom, and he says something like, "What are you doing?" And the custodian says, "I'm putting a man on the moon."
Absolutely.
And because he was able to connect the fact that what he's doing every single day aligns to putting a man on the moon.
So with this group I have on, I'm going to brag on them real quick. Their 5-year picture is 500,000 people feeling better because of what they do. And they've got that whole organization from, if I'm answering the phone for billing, setting a schedule, that's what they know they're doing. They're not setting an appointment for somebody. They're helping somebody feel better. They're one of 500,000 people in the Tampa area. 20% of the Tampa area will feel better because of the 277 people of this organization, and they hyper-focus on that. And that gives everybody a purpose to, why am I showing up today? It's not just about a paycheck or checking boxes or checklist. Somebody's going to feel better because of the work I do.
Yeah, love it. Number 3, lack of career growth and development. Yeah.
Stop growing, start dying. I mean, that's grow or die is one of the, I'm going to pro EOS. If you stop growing, you start dying. That doesn't just mean dying physically. That means dying with your purpose, dying with why you want to come in every day. Those are where the engaged turned into disengaged. I'm no longer being challenged. I'm now in monotony. Does that resonate to you? Mm-hmm. And boy, we know that we need that. We need that growth. There's a reason why there's a old saying, why did all the founding fathers live to their 80s and 90s when the average lifespan was 47? Because they had something that they wanted to grow. They had a purpose to wake up every day.
Yeah, and I think a lot of probably business owners hear this. I mean, we've got some weird economic times going on right now and a lot of layoffs happening and things like that. And I think some business owners hear this and they go, that's just more money I got to spend. And I don't think that lack of career growth and development doesn't have to cost a lot of money always, right? It could be as simple as reading books together. It could be as simple as watching podcasts together. Never in the history of time has it been so inexpensive to educate yourself.
Correct.
We at TrueU, we have 4 proprietary leadership development programs that people will put 250, 300 people through it this year, and they pay a fee to go through it. And it's not a small amount of money, but that's not the only way to go and develop your people.
Well, let's pause with that conversation. And I've started doing this in meetings now. I put an E and an I on the board at the end of the meeting. Was this an expense or was this an investment? And if we're just constantly having expenses, well, then that's what it is. Yeah. It's just busy work. Busy's broke. But investments, was this meeting an investment? Was going to TrueU an investment? Was doing 18 minutes a day? I got one company's doing, everybody on their company's doing 18 minutes a day on AI. So at the end of the year, they can all speak AI. That's 100 hours that they'll be putting in because they see that as an investment for the bigger future. Does that resonate? So if you're not investing in growth, then you are creating an expense in growth.
Yeah, linking this back to the engagement survey, the Q12, the Gallup survey, one of the things that the reasons why mid-level managers are dipping so much is because they have not been invested into on how to lead people. Yeah. And so it's been very difficult for them, and they're running into a lot of challenges they don't know how to deal with. And so if think about this for a minute. So you've got this mid-level manager that's not equipped and not trained and not developed to be a manager. And then you've got 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 frontline people reporting to them.
Yep.
Okay. We lose 20% of that frontline, so call it 2 people.
Yep.
And they make $75,000 a year. That's $150,000 in total income that they make. And it typically costs anywhere from 50% to 200% to replace those when you calculate hard cash, as well as lost productivity, as loss of reputation loss with your customers, things like that. And so even when you need to, that's where the investment comes in.
Correct.
So you got to be thinking about what you're doing with your employees as an investment to allow them to do their best work, which allows the people that report to them to do their best work.
For fear of running out of time, let's use that same scenario. I invest in you as my middle manager, and we're going to lose 2 of those people. But if I lose 2 engaged people, that 150,000 is more like 300,000.
Yeah, it is.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure.
And even more.
Yeah.
If I lose 2 disengaged people because I was prepared and I understood they were disengaged and went through the process, then I actually saved 75 to 100,000 on that loss.
Yeah.
And now I'm getting people out who didn't want to be here and now can go replace.
Yeah.
Whether we like it or not, that measurement has a dollar figure to it, and you don't feel it until it happens. But you got to invest in it today.
Yeah.
This is farming. You got to put the crops in, and you got to fertilize the bejeebies out of it.
Yeah.
Because then you're going to harvest that corn when they're able to save things.
And we could do an episode later on this, but there's also a lot of data around business valuation.
Oh, 100%.
On when you start to look at the leadership skills and what kind of team you have. Do you have succession planning and things like that? And that business valuation, that's when people are coming in and doing that for an acquisition or other means, they're going to look at that.
2 of the fastest growing designations are BEI, Business Exit Institute, and CEPA, Certified Exit Planning. Those are growing like crazy right now because people don't know what it takes to get that evaluation. And what you find when you go through that is the exact conversation we're having right now.
Yeah, good. Number 4, toxic workplace culture.
Policy.
We could spend an entire episode on this, but because there's so many elements of workplace culture, but I think a couple of elements that when you really look at toxic, what does toxic really mean? Like there's good cultures and there's not so good cultures, but then there's toxic cultures. When I say that, what are some of the things that
I think politics first. So everything I do is to position me to be better, not for the greater good of the company. I think of it's a command and control philosophy that I'm just in here to make somebody else feel better about what they do and get their job. So I'm actually never looked at as a person. I'm looked at as a unit.
Yeah.
And a third thing is I can't wait if it's 9 o'clock, I show up at 8:58. And if I'm done at 5, I show up at 5:01 because I want to spend as little amount of time in that organization because it doesn't feel like it's a place that I'm growing.
Yeah.
And you see it, you smell it, you feel it when you walk in. I mean, it's like a bee. You can sense fear when you walk into those places.
Yeah, yeah. And I think, and things like gossip, for example, is just so bad for an organization. And usually gossip shows up when there isn't a safety to the organization. So instead of me being able to go to the actual person that needs to hear what I need to say, because I'm fearful of that, I don't have that psychological safety, I then talk to other people about it. And they're not ones that can really help me with my problem.
And or the facts aren't transparent.
Yeah.
We don't actually share facts. We're not transparent about what's really going on. So left to our own device, we'll create what we think's going on.
Yeah, for sure. Just interesting little thing. MIT found that toxic culture in a research study was the top predictor of attrition.
Oh, 100%.
Top predictor. So
100%.
We often talk about, at TrueU, we talk about creating destination workplaces so that you can attract the very best talent. Because we believe that in a 7-game series, the best team, the team with the best players and the best coaches are going to win. And so you've got to attract the very best people and develop them. And we're giving you the cheat codes to how to do that.
Most time, the locker room is more important than the field.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I think that played out last night.
That's a locker room.
I mean, wow.
Cleveland's a better athletic team all the way around, but the locker room of the Pacers right now is unique. It's different.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, number 5, lack of recognition and appreciation.
Come on.
So, feeling undervalued, not being told you're doing a good job, not being acknowledged in that way. It doesn't say anything about Starbucks gift cards in this, right? You can do that, but it's really about sitting down and being able to talk to your employees about the job that they're doing.
Yeah, just simple. Hey, I saw you last week living one of our values. I just want to call you out. That really means a lot to me. Hey, great job on what you just did. Most of us will say, well, that's what I get paid to do. Yeah, but it's okay to tell them when they do it better than what you had planned.
Yeah.
Just call it out. The handwritten note, I'm sorry, it's the missing component of where we're at today.
Yeah.
Just the quick, take 10 minutes and write a handwritten note to 3 or 4 of your employees.
Yeah.
It still sits in their bag today. Guarantee it.
I was flipping through LinkedIn a couple of weeks ago, and I stopped at one because it showed a card that somebody had received from their leadership. And it was basically like, I caught you. It said on the front, I caught you. And then you opened it up, and it highlighted one of the core values.
Absolutely killing this value.
They were caught living that value.
Absolutely.
Right?
So, absolutely.
And again, all these things that we're going through, man, they're free. They're free. But they take intentionality. They take a plan. They take a caring heart to say, I'm going to go do some of these things.
They are an investment too.
Yeah.
They are. You're going to give up a little bit of time, but you're investing. And part of that's you're investing vulnerability of your soul to somebody else's.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, next, number 6, poor work-life balance or burnout. This one's a different one for me because we've talked about this before.
We do.
I don't believe in work-life balance.
It doesn't exist. It's a mini teeter-totter.
Yeah. I believe what this really kind of gets to in many cases, though, is autonomy and flexibility.
That's what is more important.
Yeah.
And understanding.
Yeah.
That there's sequences of life. Last week, I had to go pick up my daughter from college, right? Work-life balance says you can't take time to go do that.
Yeah.
Because you're behind on this, you're behind on that. Understanding that I'm going to get my job done because that's important to me to get done. That's balance. Everybody's balance is different. And I do think that we have to have a better understanding what balance means for everybody we work with, which means flexibility.
Yeah. Balance isn't this. When I think of balance, I think of the scales of justice
80 hours here.
Or the teeter-totter, you know, it's in perfect balance. It's never going to, if you just do the math, it's not going to work that way.
No,
right?
It's impossible.
It's just really impossible
let's do the math. Average person's working, let's say 60 hours a week. Okay. Let's just make that up. 40 hours. We can use 40. What number you want to use?
Let's use 50.
Let's use 50. Let's do 50 hours a week. Okay, so you wake up at 6 a.m., you leave for work at 8 a.m., that's 2 hours at home. You get home around 6 p.m., and you go to bed at, I'm old, 9 p.m. or 10 p.m. So that's 6 hours a day that you're with your family. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
5 days a week, that's 30 hours.
Yeah.
And then you get a weekend that about 12 hours each day.
Yeah.
So 24. So you're 54 hours with your family and 50 hours at work.
Yeah.
That balance, you're never going to get those times in place.
Yeah.
But what you can do is get the quality of the time that you're putting in each place.
Yeah.
And so understanding when I need to have a longer work day here so I can take a longer Friday here. Those are just real things that need to be addressed.
Yeah, it's flexibility and autonomy, I think, is the key to that. And real work-life integration, I think, is important there.
Were you making fun of me going to bed at 9 o'clock?
I was, but that's okay.
Kind of hurt my feelings?
Yeah, that's all right.
I was all jacked up when we got started, and now I'm going to go to Target and buy some self-confidence.
I think the other thing that we need to look at, too, as business owners, is we do need to look at the quantity of work that we're putting on people. Because what often happens is, and it's a circular loop. So I've got disengaged people, I've got actively disengaged, and I got engaged. Okay? Do you think I want to give work to the actively disengaged or the disengaged people?
We'll make their life easier and put them on our engaged.
So I'm going to put it on our engaged people because I trust them more.
We're looking over at the jackasses going, why am I carrying all the load and they're not doing anything?
So then what do they become? Disengaged.
They become ex-employees.
Yeah, right.
Because they'll go find somebody who will move. I mean, let's be honest. It's not the disengaged or actively disengaged that are moving.
Yeah.
It's the engaged that are moving.
Yeah. Yeah. And so we can very easily dismiss people and usher them straight out the door when we're overworking
and what that
people.
it comes back to, it's our lack of leadership and management ability to get the disengaged at least to engaged.
Yeah.
Or more importantly, when they come in engaged, keep them there.
Yeah. I think also too, and this comment is for those people that might be going through this, struggling with this piece or going through some burnout. Ask yourself, is it a season or is it consistent? Because that's the other thing. I mean, there are times in my career where I've worked, for a period of time, 80 hours a week.
Yeah.
And it wasn't healthy. I knew what was happening, whether we were going through acquisitions or we were whatever it was. If it's something that just is all the time, then that's not healthy. If it's something that's a season, then you get through it. You take a couple weeks off or something, and you get back to it.
And that's why I do believe in measuring the 90-day world.
Yeah.
Because 90 days is a season.
Yeah.
Just think about season Indiana. So 90 days, this season right now is going to call for me to lean in for a while. And then next season, I'm going to take a little bit more and get myself back into my health mode.
Yeah. Good. Okay, number 7, misalignment with company values or purpose.
Yeah. Well, why would you even bring them in if they're not aligned before this is the hiring process. This is what you talked about, putting people through tests. How do you find out if they're good at what they do or not, right?
Yeah.
Send them tasks to see if they meet your values.
Yeah.
Create ways to test that. Don't hope. Hope is not a tactic.
Yeah, and I think what this is really playing towards too, also, is I find that organizations in a lot of cases, they're really good at promoting their core values in the hiring process.
And then it's done.
And then what happens is the employee walks in the door and realizes, okay, that was smoke and mirrors.
Yeah, that was bait.
That was you have them on a wall, but you don't live them, right? And so I think that's where it's a real challenge for some.
EOS says you got to walk the talk.
Yeah.
If you're not walking the talk, none of those values mean anything.
Yeah. And so we're, as leaders, we're being constantly viewed by our employees. Every decision we make, every comment we make, all our attitude, all of those things are really being compared to the core values that we espouse. And it's not okay for us to say, you need to live by those, and I'm going to evaluate you by those things unless we're doing the same.
I had a mentor, his name was Pat, who said, I want you to picture every time you see the president or a senator or somebody in front of the podium in the news asking them questions, that's what your employees are looking at you like. Everything you did over the last week, we got some questions about that.
Yeah.
And so you got to put yourself in a position where those questions are easy to answer and that they want to come along for the ride with you.
Yeah. We had 2 more, actually 3 more. Number 8, limited autonomy or micromanagement.
Well, right back to what we said a little bit ago.
Yeah, we've got to give them that. And here's the thing. The worst thing you can do is hire a really smart person and then tell them how to do their job. You have to give them guidance and you have to show them where we're going. But you got to trust that you've hired
Coach,
the right person.
mentor, develop, start doing some monitoring, reporting, give them their red zones.
Yeah. Number 9, poor internal communication.
Yeah. I just left a meeting that they are taking 90 days to really isolate why their internal communication, their customers or their employees, and they're communicating with their customers outside the building better than they are inside the building.
Yeah.
What an awakening that company's having. But they're taking time to work on it because they see the future opportunities and expenses if they don't get it right.
Yeah, miscommunication I think can be very, very expensive for organizations.
Oh my gosh!
Because in just lost productivity, right?
Yeah.
By not giving the right direction and things like that.
Clear is kind. Yeah. Kind is profitable.
And this relates totally to that too. Is number 10 is unclear or changing priorities. And I think the biggest one, at least that I run into with clients, is the changing priorities, and that's one of the reasons why I love the EOS model so much. And, we talk about it a lot because you are an implementer, but whether you're using that or some other model.
All the models are good models.
It gets you to commit. These are our priorities. This is what's most important in the next 90 days. And it really takes an act of Congress to change it.
It does. Because I guarantee forgive my visionaries out there, they're going to have red balls thrown at them on the regular. And they're going to go red shiny balls and they're going to go chase them.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And because you've set these priorities in place, those red shiny balls have to fit into the priorities or they get exited. And because without that, every new idea is the best idea.
Yeah.
And then what you have is 126 ideas that we're going to work on, and nobody has any idea what's more important today. They call it what flavor of the month.
Yeah, for sure. So we're going to wrap this up, and we're going to come back in the next episode and talk about some ways that companies can fend this off.
I got really serious there for a little bit.
But we started with last couple episodes this problem in the United States or worldwide, but caring about the United States right now, we've got this problem about lack of engagement of employees. It's costing us almost $2 trillion in lost productivity. Here's a way to measure it, the Q12, these 12 questions. This is proof. These are the top 10 reasons why people leave companies, and they all line up with those Q12 questions.
Yep.
So let's come back and go through the Q12 again and start to say, what are some tools, maybe in the EOS toolbox or in the HR toolbox or something like that companies can start to get a hold of and utilize to go and implement. And what I'm going to promise everybody is that it's not going to be too complicated. No. And it's not going to cost a ton of money.
Absolutely.